Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Built for the Stage podcast. This is Joe Roscoe, founder and host of Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform with clients in over 20 Broadway shows, London's West End, Australia, Tokyo Disney, collegiate theaters across the country, stages around the world. We are your one-stop shop for all things theater and fitness. Check us out, builtforthestage.com. You can do a 2-week trial working with none other than myself on an interactive fitness app, builtforthestage.com. All right, let's get on to our special guest. Special guest is always currently a part of the cast of The Who's Tommy. That was just nominated for Best Revival of Musical for the Tony Awards this year. This guest is swinging the show, also the dance captain and the associate choreographer, which is very cool. They've also had Broadway or New York City credits in Heart of Rock and Roll as the assistant choreographer, Six, associate choreographer, Radio City, Christmas Spectacular, and much more. Please welcome to Built for the Stage podcast, Dee Tomasetta. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. You've had a busy morning and now afternoon already. You just hopped out of rehearsals. We were chatting a little bit about you making the walk over to Ripley Greer afterwards. How was rehearsal today? What are we working on? Even though that you opened up in March, what was rehearsal like today?
The rehearsal is good. Also, thank you for having me. So excited.
Yeah.
Big fan. I'm built for the stage. Rehearsal is great. We're going through all the understudy roles. So it's getting easier and easier each time we do a cycle through. And, we're getting ready for the Tony Awards too. So we're excited for that. We're going to be performing in a week, which is
That's
great.
very cool. You get to perform whatever number you're doing as is, or are you having to do like a Tony version of it where maybe you're cutting and splicing different things?
We're cutting and splicing and making it Tony official performance. It's really exciting for us because we do the show every single day and night, the same show, and to spice it up a little bit, and all the swings are on stage, so it's exciting to do something new and fresh and on the Tony Awards. I mean, come on, it's great.
Yes, a special night. That's going to be amazing. How many numbers are you combining together for the Tony performance?
Two-ish. Two.
Okay. Okay, not bad. Not bad.
Not to give
Not
too
too,
many secrets away.
they're not making you do a montage for the Tonys, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's rewind. I actually got to see some photos from in front of the theater, taken by Josh Drake, I believe, of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, beautiful photos. You and Josh produced some, yeah, top notch. But
Thank you.
as you scroll through though, there's this little girl, I think in front of like a gypsy promo, and then a couple of like dance videos. Who's this little girl in the end of your Instagram post there?
It's little Dee Tomasetta, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and just fell in love with New York City from the first visit that I went to New York, and that was the first Broadway show that I saw was Gypsy. Well, I was in
Okay,
auditions for it for Baby June. I was in final callbacks. It was between me and somebody else, and that was the first show that I got to really see in New York as a little kid.
okay. Are you from
Yeah.
the New York area?
I'm from Boston. I'm
Okay,
well, suburbs, but Massachusetts.
okay, Baston strong. Uh,
Boston.
I'll work on it. So how did you end up auditioning to the New York City call for Gypsy? Did you like hear about it? I don't know, your mom found it in the newspaper? What, how did that
No, I mean that's a good guess. That's a good guess. I grew up dancing very extensively, and I was a competitive dancer, and I used to go to this dance competition called Access Broadway, where they brought in a bunch of Broadway performers, and that's where I really fell in love with musical theater, and got to know that side of Broadway. And they have this mock audition, and there was an agent, and the agent discovered me and became my agent as a little girl, and so she sent me on a bunch of auditions, and Gypsy being one of them.
Nice. Okay, so you're auditioning as a kid. Does that just carry through to you as a young adult, or do you ever take a break, or were you like dead set on, hey, this is what I'm gonna do?
So that's a good question. So I was like a child actor and I did some professional stuff, but I after that kind of experience, I was like, you know what? Maybe my mom was like, you should be a kid and go to school. Like I was missing a lot of school. And so I got a taste of that world and I knew that I loved it and I wanted to pursue in it when I was older. And if I was still, loving performing and Broadway, I knew it was the right it was right to like wait and be a kid and go to school and have that experience. So just trained like my whole like upbringing. And then when I got to, I guess it was like at the end of high school, I got back into doing professional work. I was on that TV show, So You Think You Can Dance, and that kind of like
Mm.
propelled into my career. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you think you can dance. Are you in New York at that time, or when do you like make the move to New York to be a professional actor, dancer? Yeah, when does it happen?
Yeah, so senior year of high school, I was on So You Think You Can Dance, and I made it to the top 15 female dancers. And then I actually had a scholarship. So from that, I wanted to just move to LA and like perform. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I had a wonderful opportunity to go to the University of Michigan. I was on scholarship. And so last minute decided to go. And it was the best decision that I could have ever made. I'm so glad that I furthered my education and my network at Michigan, and it was the best chapter ever. While I was in school, I did some professional work and graduated early and moved to New York City 3 years later, officially.
Okay, so you got on your horse, as they say, and got 3
Yeah.
years only to graduate. What was the inspiration behind wanting to graduate early?
I think I was really itching to like get to New York. I was like, okay, I
Okay.
did the school thing. I really want to be there and I want to perform and, start my life in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
city.
okay. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's fast forward. How did the Who's Tommy come into the picture? Were you with it from beginning stages? When and how did this all happen?
Yeah, so oh my goodness. So Lauren Lataro, my queen, the choreographer of the Who's Tommy. Um, this goes back to 2018. I first met Lauren. I got off a tour and I was brought into a room, and she was doing pre-production for a show, and that's when I first met her. And we were kind of like ships like passing whenever job opportunities came about. I was either working on a show already that she wanted me to bring me onto, and Tommy came about where that was like the first opportunity that like I could actually be a part of, like the show that she was working on at the time. So we started pre-production back in 2020, not this past fall, but the fall before that, 22. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, what is time? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
in 2022, I was doing Radio City and I was like running to rehearsal back and forth. It was a wild, wild time. And Lauren, I wasn't going to be a part of the Chicago production. And then a couple months later, I got a random text message from a random number saying, "Hey Dee, like I would love for you to be my associate choreographer for the Who's Tommy going to the Goodman Theater." And I remember I was at the beach, I was on vacation with my family, and I dropped my phone in the sand. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." When they say like things happen when they're supposed to, that was definitely
Yeah.
that moment. And so I went to Chicago, and was with the show from the ground up, creating the show. I became the swing in Chicago for a little bit. And then, we got the great news that it was going to come to Broadway, and here we are now.
Okay, is there an interesting story in that little passing you said where you said you became the swing in Chicago? What all happened there?
So there was a lot of injuries, and we ended up not having a swing during like the very beginning, like during Tech Week going forward. And so I had to step in And the actor's like healed now and everything's good. But
Mm.
that's like the beauty of being an associate choreographer. It's like the whole show. So it's kind of like in territory. And of course, I'm a performer too. So it all worked out. But yeah, it's definitely exciting times being thrown into the mix on the other side of the table.
Yeah. Okay, so your trip from Chicago to Broadway, much changed? It's pretty much the same production. What was the transition like?
Oh my gosh. Well, it there was a lot of back and forth. So I was also working on Heart of Rock and Roll. So I came back to New York. I was working on Heart of Rock and Roll with Lorin, and both shows were coming to Broadway, ideally at the same time. Um, and we got into the studio, and for the most part, we really didn't want to change much of Tommy. We really thought it was a great um, production already, and so all the changes that we made just enhanced and like made it even better. And especially in terms of like choreography, we just really wanted to fine tune things and um, enhance it. So it wasn't too much of changing. It was a quick turnaround once we got the okay, and um, it was a quick rehearsal process. Also, we had like 2.5 weeks to teach the whole show to the new members, and then going into tech and then preview. So it was very fast and furious because we just had our production in Chicago.
Yeah. And then once you opened up, have you had to go on much? What's the swing life been like for you with the show?
Oh yeah, I've been on every single week, and new tracks. It's been very exciting, and I honestly I like thrive off of this because I'm like, oh yeah, who am I doing next? Like my brain's going
Yeah.
crazy. The Broadway debut story is definitely one of those Broadway mid-show swing on situations that is very exciting.
Well, give it to
Um,
us. What is it?
okay,
What's the
I'll give it to you.
what's the story?
So it was during the first week of previews, and I was in the audience with Lorin and our director Des Mackinoff, and we were taking notes. And within like the first 10 minutes of the show, I got a tap on my shoulder. My phone was in my pocket, which is like the first swing no. Make sure your phone is out in case somebody
Mm.
texts you. um, but I got a tap on the shoulder from a stage manager saying, "Hey, like we need you to come backstage. Like somebody got hurt. You're gonna go on." And I'm like, right now, like I'm going on right now. I'm like, okay, great. And so I, within like 7 minutes, ran backstage. I didn't have any wigs. I didn't have my costumes finished. And like, I remember like there was people like pulling my hair up in a ponytail, putting my mic on, throwing a costume on me. And like, I walked on stage and we did it. We made our Broadway debut. And it was the most incredible exhilarating experience that I probably ever had. And I just remember after, if you come see the show, if you've seen the show, after Act One, Pinball Wizard, because like the show just moves. It's like you hop on the train and you go, and there's no stopping, especially for the ensemble. And I remember after Pinball Wizard, um, just the curtain coming down, we're all staring at the pinball machine, and everybody starts screaming, and I'm like crying. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And then I was like, wait, we have to do Act Two now, rushing over to
Mhm.
my computer. But it
Yeah,
was the most incredible experience.
amazing. And then have you had any like scheduled ones where you can actually tell family and friends, "Hey, I'm going to be on the stage tonight"?
Yeah, there's been an opportunity. Being from Boston, my parents were able to drive down, like with a day's notice. So, but I have a couple, the summer is like big with the scheduled dates. So I have a lot of dates coming up that a lot of family will come down and watch, but
Okay, cool.
exciting times.
We'll have to get those off you after this, and we'll put them in the description of the episode in case anyone wants to hop on over to see you in the show.
Yes.
So you brought up your parents a couple of times. You grew up in Boston in like a supportive arts, yeah, go dance or go. How was that upbringing and the support around you, whether there was support or not, or yeah, that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I owe like my entire career and everything to my parents. My mom and my dad have been extremely supportive growing up to me and my brother with our dreams, and I wouldn't be here without them. I think I got started into dance by my grandmother, though. She used to watch me when I was a young girl, and we used to watch like Shirley Temple movies and like old, Fred Astaire and Ginger Roger movies. And, she was like to my mom, we got to get her in dance classes. And so my whole family has been extremely supportive. I'm the only one in the arts, so I'm like a little bit of like the odd duck, but everybody like is always coming to my shows. I'm from a big Italian family. So I
Yeah.
remember one of my first big shows in New York was at Radio City. It was the last summer show, the New York Spectacular. And the first two shows of Radio City Music Hall was completely filled with my entire extended family. And they were just like cheering like it was like a football game. And I'll never forget it. It was hilarious, like rooting. But yeah, very supportive family and very thankful for them.
Yeah. Yo, D, that's my cousin up there. Way to go.
No,
Hey.
literally, perfect,
That's
perfect.
my that's my cousin up there.
You sound
Hey.
like my cousin Mikey.
There you go. Yeah, of course his name's Mikey. Of course.
Mikey, Nikki, Anthony, yep, all of them.
Of course. Check the boxes. Okay, so so we've talked about so many peaks so far. I love to ask about the valleys every once in a while as a coach helping people in fitness. The fitness journey is filled with ups and downs, but as far as your career in theater, has it been just since that first dance recital to your Broadway debut of a red carpet rolled out and the butterflies and rainbows are everywhere? Or were there any like hardships that really taught you lessons that made you and molded you into who you are right now?
Oh my gosh, of course. There's always, it's a roller coaster, and every part of the journey is just as important. And honestly, it's the moments of the journey that isn't just about the success. It's like how you got there and like who was there for you and with you along the way. And, you know, having injuries and making really difficult choices, and staying true to yourself is all about the journey. And I would say, I had a few injuries in my career, but I think the biggest obstacle that I overcame was when I first moved to the city. I remember just being like, I just want the opportunity. I just want the opportunity to be in the room. And I have a handful of mentors and people that took a chance on me. And it just takes that one person to be like, invite you into a pre-pro or invite you into a rehearsal, invite you to an audition. Um, and I'm very thankful for that. But I just remember being so hungry and so eager and be like, I just want the opportunity. And if I'm not right for the job, like that's totally fine. Um, but my best advice for performers getting into this field and industry, or if you have been, is to stick with it, because sometimes it happens right away and then sometimes it takes a while. Like I'm just making my Broadway debut now, and I've done a bunch of stuff beforehand, not to discredit that, but if you have a dream, you got to continue to believe in it and believe in yourself and believe what you're putting out there, and that's when other people are going to believe in what you're doing too.
So where did you pick this up from? Is this instilled in you naturally? Was it who was whispering these like prophetic things in your ear to have you be so resilient?
Oh gosh, I mean, my parents, my family, my brother, definitely my mentors, my dance teachers growing up, um, and a mentor that I will say that gave me my first like big break, is choreographer Mia Michaels. I remember I got eliminated from So You Think You Can Dance, and I went back home. And at the time, I was devastated. I was like, "Oh, this is like the most devastating thing." Like as a little 18-year-old, and I remember going to a local dance convention, and she was teaching, and I remember, not paying to like take class or anything, and I was like sitting amongst the dance moms, and I remember like seeing the combination and telling myself, "Oh my gosh, I got to get up and dance." And I started dancing in the back, and there's hundreds of people and like dance bags, and I'm like doing stuff just like in my little corner. And I remember her getting on the god mic being like, "You in the yellow shirt, come see me after the class is over." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." um, And from that moment, I went up to her, and she just wanted to know who I was, and like from that, like everything kind of fell into place. I assisted her on So You Think You Can Dance. That same season, I was eliminated. She hired me for Radio City Music Hall. Right from there, I auditioned for Finding Neverland, and I was Peter Pan on tour, and it was just kind of like one after the other. But before that, it was a hard time of just auditioning and hoping to get an opportunity. And so
Yeah.
that's why I say like always just like you got to continue and be resilient.
Yeah. As usually as a young person growing up in dance and just how you're talking now, I assume like you're very passionate about this, obviously. In all of that, are there other hobbies or passions involved, or how do you step away from this career when you're on the clock 6 out of 7 days a week?
Yeah, so I will say now in my life, like I love what I do, don't get me wrong, but it is so important to have balance. So then you can show up for yourself and show up for the people that you work with. Um, so that balance for me is like seeing friends, seeing family, the people that I love. I think that's really important is maintaining those relationships outside of what you do. Because at the end of the day, we're not just performers, we're humans. So definitely, maintaining those friendships and relationships. I love fitness, so I love, going for runs and walks, taking different classes in the city, taking yoga, um, just trying new things, and yeah, the balance is very, very important. I will say.
Okay, so you hopped into training, I can't resist. So
I know.
usually I promise guests that, hey, it's not going to be like 30 minutes of talking about fitness, but you brought it up. So how in the midst of rehearsals or being in a show, do you tell yourself, I might be tired, but this is going to benefit me and being durable, being, injury prevention or just keeping up with my body? Because yeah, I'm being physical, but I understand your swing. But when you are being physical or when someone else is
Yeah.
doing it the 6 out of 7 days, you're still doing the same repetitive pattern day in and day out. And that's a
Mhm.
problem of itself. So how have you been able to have that discipline of knowing that I still need to train? And did anyone like help you with this, or did you just kind of, I don't know, see it or figure it out on your own?
So I will say I'm a very disciplined person, especially when it comes to like working out outside of like what I do.
Mm.
So I think my dad, who was like an athlete growing up, like instilled that in me growing up, and like it just kind of stuck. Um, but because I'm a swing and I'm not on all the time, I'm on a lot, but not all the time. I think it's really important to stay in it, and stay in shape, not only like physically, but mentally and emotionally, right? So every morning, I'm an early morning riser. I will wake up and I will go for a run, or I'll go to core power yoga. I'll probably do, if I'm crazy, I'll do both before rehearsal or going into the theater. I did that today. I was a little crazy today, but I make sure that I move my body, in like a cardio way, and then also like weight training and just being outside as much as I can, working out because you're in the theater all day. But I think it's super important to make sure that you're cross training and you're doing other things, like you said, other than the show, because you can really plateau and just kind of um, stay in it. And also, that's where injuries kind of happen if you're doing the same repetitive motion over and over again. So it's good to like have a balance of different things.
Yeah. Okay, so you said you're disciplined. I love this topic,
Yeah.
because some people will say that they're disciplined, but the
Mhm.
masses, at least when I'm first starting to work with them, I'm not disciplined. I don't have the motivation. Okay, so
Mhm.
what you said you're disciplined. Why are
Mhm.
you disciplined? What are the attributes to make someone disciplined?
I mean, this might sound cheesy.
I know it might sound cheesy or obvious, but it's like,
Okay. I mean,
why can you say that you're disciplined, but this person over here is like, I just can't be disciplined. When really it's, I think, just actions that, you know, make this disciplined nature, not that, oh, I was just born disciplined, you know?
Right, right, right. I mean, for me, this sounds cheesy, but for me, like I really want to I want to be a better version of myself, like every day. So whether that's physically, like showing up for my show, I want to be better. I want to be a better performer, dancer, physically. Um, so that's why oh my gosh, oh no, something just happened. Hold on. Wait, this is crazy. Okay. Wow. Rippling
Hilarious.
Gear Studios.
You need, yeah, you didn't move enough the past 20 minutes or so. That was
Should
great.
be doing jumping jacks.
You sh
Um,
apparently you did enough fitness today with, 2 classes before rehearsal.
oh my goodness. I'm just like
Uh,
making a fool of myself on
all
this.
right, so I like this. So the root of your discipline comes from the fact that I'll add in that you just have one life. So if you just have one life,
Yeah.
then let's live it to our fullest and try to improve daily. So I love that. All right, let's close out the episode with 3 important questions. Are you ready?
Mhm. Let's do
All
it.
right. Number 1, what's top of the list for going on some type of vacation? Where are you wanting to go?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I really want to go to Italy. Have not been to
Oh,
Italy. That's like
oh, all
major.
right. Yeah, you gotta
Yes.
go.
Um, so
Okay, that
I
was number
yeah.
1, Italy. All right, great. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we can chat it up. I've been twice now, and we got to
Oh,
talk
great.
Sicily, obviously. All right.
Yes.
Number 2, really important. Burgers or pizza?
Pizza.
Okay, there you go.
Love pizza.
Hey, your answer is your answer. All right,
Yes.
last and most important question, cats or dogs?
Dogs. I want a dog so bad right now, but I don't have time, but
Oh,
someday.
well, yeah, if you get that dog, you're gonna have a lot of arranging to do to get to Italy because
Uh,
traveling with pets is quite difficult.
oh man.
All right,
Things to
Dee
look forward to.
Tomasetta, Built for the Stage podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun talking with you.
Yeah, can't wait to see the show. Everyone that's watching or listening, make sure you head on over to see the Who's Tommy and see Dee and the gang. Dee, thanks.
Hey, thank you.
All right, everybody. Dee Tomasetta from the Who's Tommy on Broadway. Again, just nominated for Best Revival of a Musical. So go ahead and check them on out. You can check out Dee on the Instagram at Dee Tomasetta. I'm Joe Roscoe, built for the stage. Actors or athletes, train like one. Later.